All right, welcome back everyone to the Malaysian Architecture Education Lecture Series, proudly presented by MASA. This is our 30th online lecture entitled The Building Conservation of Look Hall by none other than architect Noor Hasina Rosli. So for those who are new, MASA stands for Malaysia Architecture Student Alliance, a non-profit student committee acting directly under PAM, also known as Persatuan Architect Malaysia. This consists of student representatives from all institutes in Malaysia. So during this time of MCO, MASA and PAM have decided to launch this online lecture series for students to be more productive and gain more insights and knowledge. Architect Ardianta is the head of PAM education and Dr. Zach Zaro is the convener. Okay, my name is Guma Sylvester, MASA representative from UCSI University, and I will be your MC for tonight. Okay, so architect Noor Hasina Rosli is a alumnus of College Mara, Banting, and then Edinburgh College of Art of Heriot Watt University in Edinburgh, Scotland. Architect Hasina, or as she prefers to be called, as Katlin, had her first 6 years of working experience in the private sector, first with Noor Zakia Bun and Tang Architects, also known as NBT Architects, and then briefly with RSP Architect. It was with NBT Architects under the tutelage of architect Stephen Tang that she had her first taste and love for building conservation. Later on, she joined Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur in the mid-90s, all in project implementation department, doing projects related to communities. It was here that she had her first full building conservation experience with Look Hall at Lot 10 Jalan Tangsi, which was also previously known as the old PAM building, currently known as the Rumah Tangsi. All right, everyone, sit back and enjoy. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the talk, but if you're interested in asking any questions during the sharing, feel free to type them down in the comment section or chat box. We will attend to them at the end of the sharing. Okay, so without further delays, I would like to welcome Architect Fazlina. How are you doing today, Architect Fazlina?
Okay, Guma.
Nice. Okay.
Saturday night on Netflix, but I'm presenting to everyone, sharing information. So also my preferable night to be doing on Saturday night. And I hope you guys, I'm not taking time of you guys to catch up with our Netflix series.
I'm sure it's not bothering that.
Okay, good. Shall I start?
Yeah, I'll pass the floor to you now.
Okay, thank you very much, Guma, and the rest. Yeah. Okay. For tonight, I've actually prepared a brand and fresh new of slideshow presentation. Yeah, based on my further reading on books that was provided to me by my conservation contractor, Tuan Haji Syahri, and also the consultant conservator, Datin A.R. Jun Ang. Yeah, so these are all fresh and better facts, well-checked facts. Okay, so first and foremost, I would like to make a disclaimer. I'm not at all a pakar konservasi. I'm not at all a specialist conservator, all because this is my one and only, siapa yang bising tu? My one and only full conservation work. And this is the first time that I was exposed to full conservation work, even though during the 6 years I was working under Mr. Architect Stephen Tang, I was exposed to very many conservation trips and under his tutelage. Yeah? So, okay, without further ado, I will start off with my presentation, The Conservation of Look Hall, a public sharing session. So tonight is not a education slide per se. This is a public sharing session whereby I would like to show to you guys the behind the scenes of the conservation of this building. Okay, it's very interesting because this is like me taking you guys for a tour around the building. Okay, all right. Okay, so introduction. Okay, what is building conservation? This one I don't need to tell you lah, okay? If you Google what is building conservation, you see there are about 5.45 million results. So go ahead and do reading and do your video watching if you need to understand further. Also, in the lecture series number 20 of Masa lecture, there was a lecture by my mentor and my ex-boss, A.R. Stephen Tang, on fundamentals of conservation of heritage building on the 15th of August, 2020. So you go there and listen also, because I also learn from there. Okay? Okay. So in conservation, you will hear words like tangible, intangible, preservation, restoration, reconstruction, adaptation, and outstanding universal value, OUV. These are all the normal words that you will hear every time you go about conserving heritage buildings, all right? So where is Lok Hall located? If you Google on Google Map, Chow Kit Mansion, and terus dapat the location. So it's very easy where to locate the location. In fact, there's actually a photo of that. And behind the building is the Bukit Aman. Right across is the Royal Selangor Club, and also the Dataran Merdeka, where actually the people who visited Lok Chow Kit Mansion, if they do not have parking spaces there, they will park their cars under Dataran Merdeka and just walk across, okay? And if you pusing the peta clockwise 90 degree, this is how it looks like, okay? So you would understand better if you see this kind of orientation later, because I will keep using this kind of orientation in this slideshow, all right? So who is Lok Chow Kit? Look at that handsome guy. Kan? He's so modern looking, doesn't he? So he was born in Georgetown, Penang in 1860, the son of Lok Kum Chun, who was also born in Penang. So what does that mean? It means that the father and Mr. Lok Chow Kit himself, they are both Malaysian citizen. They are both local style, macam kita. And then he went to Penang Free School. Back then, Penang Free School was established as an English medium school. So what does that mean also? It means that he is an alumni with Tan Sri P. Ramlee, because Tan Sri P. Ramlee also went to Penang Free School. Okay, and then he is a man of grace and style. You tengoklah dia kan, very eccentric yet astute and prudent. He is very visionary. He knows how to see things and grab opportunity for a better, calculative action in his businesses, in his future undertakings. He's very visionary like that. And he traveled abroad extensively, both for business and leisure. There is a part in A.R. Datin Jun Ang's book that mentioned that he even drove for a tour around Scotland in a car. So he loved travel. And he started working with Katz Brothers Limited, a German firm based in Singapore, but just opened in a branch in Penang. And when he moved to Kuala Lumpur, he worked under Lok Yew. And then he became Lok Yew's trusted right-hand man. He was the negotiator, he was the caretaker, he was everything. And eventually opened up Chow Kit & Co., a wholesale and retail business, much like the Harrods of the East back then. Yeah? Okay, so introduction lagi. Who is Lok Chow Kit? He is English proficient. He speaks English very good. Later, I will show you a letter. He weaved himself amongst the high classes, royalties, clans, private clubs, government agencies and organizations. Makna kata apa? Dia pandai bawa diri dia. And he is also a member of the Kuala Lumpur Sanitary Board from 1900 to 1904. What does that mean? It means that, what is Kuala Lumpur Sanitary Board? Back then, Kuala Lumpur Sanitary Board is the Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur today. Can you imagine? He was one of the DBKL board member back then in 100 and 1904. So can you see this? There's an advertisement, minutes of meeting held at the Sanitary Board office. Ada nama Lok Chow Kit. And then he had 13 children. Yalah, masa tu tak ada Astro Netflix kan. So 2 from his first wife, whom he left in Penang, 10 from his long-time lover and second wife, Yun Lin nama dia, and one from his mistress, whom he actually relocated to live in China in a village. And then he bought the entire village too, specially for her and his son, so that they both duduk dekat sana with this, you know, sama-sama macam wealthy and prosperous like the other of his family members here in Malaysia, Malaya lah back then. And then he treasured high education so much. He sent his first two children of his second wife, Yun Lin. The first one is a daughter, the second one is a son, to Aberdeen, Scotland from very early age. Alright? Okay, so this is his letter. Can you see his high handwriting? Cantik kan? Okay, so it says, Sir, in reply to your letter of the 2nd instant, I beg to inform you that I shall be pleased to serve you as a member of the Chinese Advisory Board for Selangor. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant. Can you imagine zaman-zaman kita tulis surat macam ni? Never. So can you imagine how proficient in English he was? So okay, the Lok Hall. This is introduction to Lok Hall. So it has a feng shui character of back to the hills and face to the river. So it's supposed to bring prosperity, good health, good wealth to the property. So he bought this 1.7 acre of land, lot 8 until lot 11. Dekat section 59, and later on he actually bought the entire piece. He was supposed to be doing government quarters or government offices there, tapi he decided to actually build his mansion there so that he can move from his house dekat Deswood, now it's KLCC sana, to this mansion, because dia punya business Chowkit and Co tu ada very nearby. Nearby tu dekat belakang, just behind the bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad. Okay. So, okay, the number 1, can you see the number 1 here? Is the former horse stable of Lok Hall. Yes, that is lot 7 and 8. And then the former Lok Hall mansion, which is what we are going to talk about tonight. And then the former townhouses of Lok Chowkit in lot 11. Right now, Lok Chowkit lot 11 tu kita panggil lot 11 Tang Si, which is now being used by Kuala Lumpur Tourism Bureau. And then number 4 here, lot 12 is the Empire Flat, which is sekarang ni bangunan Ikran. And then number 5, which is now the bangunan Bank Rakyat, is former Selangor Club Rest House. And then number 6 here is former Selangor Club Chambers. So lot 1 till 5 right now dah diratakan and being used as a at-grade car parking. Okay. So okay, the Lok Hall. This is the the timeline of the Lok Hall. 1903, Lok Chowkit decided to build a mansion there. So he actually tender out, invite tenders for people. Siapa nak tolong buat untuk dia. Hebat tengok tender dia macam tu. Okay, and then this is how it looks like from an artist impression. Okay. So who designed Lok Hall? Mainly people, if you Google who designed Lok Hall, it would say go back to A.K. Musdin, because A.K. Musdin drew Chowkit and Co. for Lok Yu. Okay, Lok Yu built Chowkit and Co. and leased to Lok Chowkit, okay, for 30 years. So people keep thinking Lok Yu memang suka A.K. Musdin, so definitely A.K. Musdin drew lot 10 Jalan Tang Si. But if you see both characteristics, they're quite different, aren't they? So it's actually it's allegedly but not proven. Okay, and some said maybe W.H. Nicholas. W.H. Nicholas is a Straits architect, and Lok Yu is a loyalist Straits. So it might be him also, because he also built the Sekolah Victoria Institution, which was drawn by architect PWD back then. Or maybe did he minta bantuan kawan-kawan, ask for his friends, architect and engineer friends that he met in all these balls in Swan and McLaren firm, which is based in Singapore. So nobody knows actually, okay, because tak tercatat anywhere who drew this, who designed this Lok Hall. So architect of Lok Hall remains a mystery, okay? And then the Lok Hall itself, after that, 1908. So 1903, Lok Chow Kit designed the mansion. 1905, he moved in with his family, but 1908, he leased out the property to Empire Hotel. Okay, this Empire Hotel was so big. I mean, big dari segi glamour. Before it was officiated, there's actually an iklan that says, okay, see the iklan, And then, look at that. This is another iklan advertisement in the paper saying that dengar tak I? Okay. A very limited supply of smoked salmon and red caviar and bolted. Nampak tak nombor telefon dia? 898. So this is a very exclusive hotel back then. And then, but in 1957, after a period of Japanese military hotel, that place was being used as Japanese military hotel and a headquarters as a Second Guards Brigade. In 1957, it was leased to Peninsula Hotel. Okay, and so tengok tu Peninsula Hotel. Rooms, small, $8. Large, $12. Ini menghadap Dataran Merdeka ni, which back then it was called the Padang, okay? And then ada breakfast, tengok RM2 je kau. Breakfast dekat hotel. Luncheon, RM2.50 je kau, beza 50 sen je. So, you know, but back then this was considered as very exclusive, okay? So it was used until around 1970s, and then it was used as a PAM building starting officiated as PAM building in 1973. Okay, so from 1973, Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia became the caretaker. That's why it was being called the PAM building. Okay, and this is how it looked like during PAM time. Okay, right. So in 2012. DBKL took over entirely. In fact, in 2010, that DBKL told PAM that we would like to take over the building to refurbish it. Back then, 2010, it wasn't gazetted as Bangunan Warisan or Heritage Building. So we said that we wanted to refurbish the building. So PAM had to find some other place to go lah. And luckily also, now PAM has got a fantastic center, all because of this event. Yeah. Okay, so project timeline. Okay, this is project timeline on DBKL side. So 2010, DBKL bagi tahu PAM that, hello PAM, sorry, we would like to take over this building. We want to refurbish it if you don't mind to move out. So in 2011, they actually move out. And then 2011, 2012, we awarded to second contractor because the first contractor was terminated because he didn't know how to refurbish old buildings. So second contractor was awarded for Lot 10 and Lot 11. Unfortunately, in 2012 also, JWN gazetted Lot 10, which is Lok Hall Mansion, as Bangunan Warisan. Hence, the construction work for these two buildings need to be changed a bit. Lot 11 boleh jadi non-conservation work, but we still need to preserve the facade, but Lot 10 needs to be entirely done in conservation method. But this contractor that we awarded was not using, we didn't use conservation documentation for that project, okay? So, as this is in 2012, where Jabatan Warisan Negara gazetted the Lok Hall Mansion to be a heritage building, bangunan warisan. So DBKL actually tried with that the second contractor too. DBKL tried to do addendum for the conservation methods and documentation, but it was so complicated because you see the documentation for conservation method or conservation documentation is very, very tedious. You have all this extra false roof which costs like 5 figures. You have extra methods. You have extra materials or finishes that you have to do manually rather than you can buy, you know, daripada kedai macam tu. You have to use certain materials, all this. So it became so messy that finally in 2014, our tender board says, okay, let's take up lot 10 from the first contract. Kita teruskan dengan lot 11 with this second contractor, then lot 10 kita tender out for a third contractor which is under conservation background. Okay, so in 2013, the third contractor, the Tuan NTQT, was awarded and they started work on the 4th February 2015. So 2015 was the year that this Lok Chow Kit Mansion atau Lok Hall Mansion was properly done up as a conservation project. Okay. Okay, and then the lot 6 until 9 and 11. Remember I said lot 11 is now being used as Kuala Lumpur Tourism Bureau. It was completed and look at the inside. So actually we only preserve the facade, okay, because based on the guideline, conservation guideline, 200-meter radius from a heritage building, we need to preserve it as heritage also. So we preserve the lot 11 facade, but dekat belakang dia, beside it, we had to demolish because it was so rotten and tak boleh pakai. So we make it into offices and halls. So it's apa ni, visitable. You can actually visit the place because it's an office. So if you go inside, you can actually take a tour, and if you see some stuff ke apa, you just say that I'm a student, or you know, can I just visit this space around? And it's lovely inside there, and it's being designed. It was designed by Azwan Architect. Okay, and then so in lot 1 to 5 and 10, Lok Hall completed in 2017. And then in 2019, it is rebranded as Rumah Tangsi by citizens who were given the lease to actually be the caretaker and the building manager and the program content provider for this building. Yeah? Okay, the lots and the layouts. So if you see, can you see? This is lot 10, the Lok Hall Mansion. The Lok Hall Mansion. This is KLTB. This is lot 11 KLTB. So we preserve the U shape here, okay, but inside here is different. So lot 10, we conserve the entire building because it's been gazetted as heritage. Okay, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ingat tak tadi, the first when I showed you masa Lok Chow Kit bought the land, that these are actually Royal Selangor chambers or something, kan? So there was a building here, but since it's not gazetted or have any cultural value, so we demolished and we make it to become a parking space for this building, okay? And then this is also a semi basement parking below, and then parking spaces above, 7, 8, 9. And there's also an on-site detention pond underneath here, okay? So this is the ground floor that AR Rida and team did on 3D. So you have from the front, you enter the main hall into the foyer, and then there's courtyard, and this is left annex, and this is right annex. So this is the ground floor, okay? And then on the top floor, the first floor, so it's actually it's actually very symmetrical. So you have this left annex, you have the right annex, and this is the Madras Terrace. Before this, when Pam was still using this building, they actually covered this up, and this was an office with a toilet, and this was an office also, I think, and a toilet, I'm not too sure. And then we discovered that from the old photos that these are actually supposed to be terraces with terracotta. So we opened it up and it became what it becomes now, okay? So the potential and constraints, okay. This study was done by the consultant architect, Azwan Architect. So this is lot 10. At site there, when they first went to visit, there's actually the existing trees, the old tall trees behind a really precarious slope. Later on, I will show you. And then there's some extension there, building over the boundary limit. So kita pun sudah pening. How come lah this happen kan? Okay, and then there's all the split levels, and then there's a courtyard. This is existing facade of the horse gable that belonged to Lok Chau Kit before, and then there's all this analysis of the facade to the road and whatnot. Okay, and then see, unfortunately this gable, what happened was the first contractor that we terminated accidentally pulled this down. I think they were trying to demolish the bangunan dekat belakang, the dinding dekat belakang, and them not knowing about heritage building, they failed to first provide a support structure for this facade. So it just fell crumbling down, and we actually imposed a fine, a penalty for them, quite banyak juga lah. I think 6 figures juga lah penalty. So, you know, and then we terminated them, okay? So there's all these studies lah. There's a drainage problem and then split levels and whatnot. Okay. And then there's a, see this is the original when PEM was still in using this building. So there's a slope backyard. See this apa ni, pokok ni, old trees, very tall trees, and then the heritage building, and then part of the fencing need to be improved. And then you see lah, this very ugly feeder pillar here. Kan? How to Instagram like this, isn't it? So this is part of the study also. So some of the existing trees that we think to be maintained, but later on we thought that it's best to remove it. Okay, so finally, conservation contractor started work 4th February 2015. So this is all the consultants. Azwan, Wan Hussein, an associate at CNS, Jurundin KBZ, the MNE, AI Consult, the consultant. CGB Consultants is the conservator consultant, and NTQT Sdn Bhd is actually a conservation contractor who are actually quite well known in Malaysia. If you Google NTQT, you will know. Okay, so if you must know that for conservation job, for conservation work, it has to start top to bottom. They have to have false roof. See, you see false roof? Why? Because we need this roof to protect whatever it is underneath while we do studying, and especially so when we take out all the roof tiles to be studied, to clean, to label them or whatever. So this is the I think the huge difference between a conservation project and a conventional project. Conventional project is bottom to top, kan? So conservation project is top to bottom. So this is one of the additional stuff that the second contractor punya documentation, we think that it's going to be messy with a lot of variation orders, a lot of additional cost. So we think that it's best to omit that from that contract, and then we retender it out to make sure that in the retendering process, the conservation documentation is in place to have all these things spelt in the documentation, okay? Okay, so side issues. This is the behind the scene that you guys must know, because you would not know these side issues until someone who is in the project will tell you, okay? Slope strengthening. Can you see the slope? So that's actually a problems with the slope because it is so steep and it needs strengthening, but yet jentera, no machinery can go behind there. So what did we have to do? We have to do this. This is what we called a hand dug caisson wall. Why hand dug? Because it is hand dug. It is dug by people. People masuk dekat dalam lubang ni, okay? This one, lubang ni, this one, okay. Someone will wait on top, someone will dig, put the earth and the stones in the pail, and then the person on top will tarik, and then will letak on a wheelbarrow and then pergi buang, and goes down until it hit a hard surface. So some of it are 17 meters deep. And then the width is only 3 feet. Can you imagine how claustrophobic it must be? So these people are actually, I consider them as our heroes, true heroes. Because kalau tak ada diorang, siapa yang nak buat hand-dug caisson wall ni? Yeah? Okay, so this is how it looks like lah. Dia korek-korek and then ini dia kena tuang dah lah konkrit. Nanti sekarang I will show you how it is done. So bila you buat, and then baru you korek the tanah here. And then it becomes a wall. Yeah? Okay. So this is how it is done. Number 1, pile center point. Number 2, caisson diameter. You see? And then they will first put a mold on top. And then the first string. Okay? And then you korek, and then put the second ring. And then sampai macam tu until you require, you reach the hard surface, okay? And then last kali, barulah you pasang all the cage and all that, and then tuang the concrete. So that was very time consuming, and it was I think 70 meters long. So can you imagine our heroes buat kerja macam mana? So at present, inilah jadi dia. This is the hand-dug caisson wall. Can you imagine all this? Daripada sana sampai hujung ni, they are all hand-dug at 3 feet width every. Hebat kan? Because no jentera can muat or allowed to get in behind the building to actually do the digging. Okay, so it had to be hand-dug. Okay, so old tree at slope. Okay, in January 2010, this is what the Google Map was looked like. So can you see this, old tall trees overlooming down towards the old buildings down, and they're all on a steep slope. So they're very dangerous, kan? So that was in 2010. So in 19 March 2013, a picture of this was taken. Okay, unfortunately, in April 2013, this happened. That tree sudah jatuh, okay? And then this happened, okay? So can you imagine, we kept thinking back there, oh, that's a dangerous tree, that's a dangerous tree. And then we took time to actually trying to find ways to actually cut the trees at the slope. So finally, in 2015 February, I wrote a orang kata minit bebas lah, kelulusan dasar to have this cut by a specialist, and it cost a whopping 34,000 to cut 1 or 2 trees, whereby if the trees are just on a tanah rata, it's only like 15,000, 10,000 or 8,000. So this is how it was done. The supervisor of the tree actually took time to actually messaged me, texted me with photos of what his staff was doing at site. Okay, can you see? This is a guy. Dia panjat, dia potong sikit dari atas. So this is how. The next one was how he communicated with the people dekat site. The supervisor ni communicated with people. Okay, you put rope here and then you cut here. And then macam tu. Ni cara-cara dia lah. So can you imagine why it was expensive? Because orang yang you ambil tu semua berhati kering. You nak panjat sambil potong. I don't think many people can do that lah. Yeah? Okay. So can you see that how big the trees were? So finally 17th March the trees were cleared. So kita sudah lega lah. So macam ni lah nampak dia tempat tu kan, bersih je. Kan dulu kat sini semula banyak trees, so sekarang dah bersih, dah okey. Okay, so site issues, building cracks. So we had building crack here. Why? because we were actually digging or korek tanah dekat sini to build a semi-basement. Okay, unfortunately, the soil here was a little bit too soft because of the air. Back then, the caisson retaining wall was not yet ready, or not yet completed. So the rainwater, the surface runoff water from the PDRM Bukit Aman fell onto this, and it became like macam swimming pool. Next slide, I show you. Okay, can you see that? Can you see that? This actually, some of the times, it became like a pool, all from the surface runoff water from the back of this building. Okay, so can you see the crack? Can you see the crack? But we addressed that crack, and now it became like this. Cantik kan? So Alhamdulillah, in the end, it became okay. 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 Also, side issues. Building cracks at present came like this. So cantik kan? So it was menyakitkan hati. It was very nerve-wracking, but at the end of the day, with all the consultants and all the specialties at hand, it became okay. Okay. Okay, some conservation methods that I want to share with you. Some of you guys might have gone or done all these conservation methods yourself. Some of you guys are exposed. Some of you listeners here are actually pakar conservation, but I'm sharing this for those yang tak pernah buat. So I'm sharing this just on the basis saja, basic aja, tak too deep a method. Okay, so the first one was scrapings. So this color scrapings is part of the conservation method that needed to be included in the conservation documentation. So you scrape pelan-pelan. You scrape first. You check dulu the color. Nanti later on I'll show you the color checking. And then you scrape. This can take as long as 3 to 6 months just to scrape off the color, the old paint, to see what lies underneath and to document it, what you find out. Okay, so also the scrapings need to be done because some of these old buildings, they use breathable wall. They are breathable wall, tetapi people have been using over time acrylic paint on top of it, which is not breathable at all. So we need to buka, to to buang, take off those old paint, and then we repair those walls again dengan whatever conservation method, and then we apply water-based paint that is breathable, so that the batu-batu or the clay tiles or clay blocks that biasanya used for heritage buildings can breathe through the paint. Okay, so that is important. If you go to any heritage building and you see dinding menggelembung-gelembung, bubbles from the walls, that means that the paint that is being used for that wall is not the correct paint, because the moisture from the wall, the breathable wall, so it's called, moisture from the wall cannot penetrate the paint, so it created bubbles and bubbles. So you have to scrape that off, baiki dinding tu, repair the dinding, and then we sapu dengan water-based paint. Okay, so this one of the scrapings work lah. Actually, the scraping was done inside and out everywhere. Okay, so it took around 3 to 6 months. Okay, so this is, see. So this is documented tau. The final layer was green, but of course we didn't use green lah for this wall, because we think that by using green nanti terlalu gelap the area. So we use a neutral color, which is white. So can you see the final layer of the color warna dekat luar ni, the external wall was actually yellow ochre. That was one of the reason why we decided to bring back the glorious color back to this building, which is yellow ochre, much to everybody's dismay lah back then, because they were so familiar with the white color, and yellow ochre doesn't jive well, okay? But this was the reason, because we discovered that yellow ochre was the first layer when we do the scrapings, yeah? Okay, and then more scrapings. You see, diorang ni, can you imagine dia membawang, bekerja-kerja ni, bercerita pasal their families back at home, okay? So while doing that, perlahan-perlahan ni dia kena buat ni, yeah? They have to do it very carefully. Okay, and then you see the scrapings, what they found. There's actually ladies' lavatory and gentlemen's lavatory. So this is all documented tau. Eh? So and here, they scrape, and then they found, ada pintu rupanya. They were doorways, but these doorways, we think that it was doorways to the ensuite bathrooms back then when they were hotels. So we didn't go into, you know, restoring the toilets again lah. So we want to restore that place into a mansion. Okay, and then more scraping. So when you do scrapings, this is where you found out, oh, dulu sebenarnya there's actually a storage area. We didn't manage to know or find out what the storage area is all about. What we just maintained it with masuk a niche like that. Okay, and then, oops, sorry. Okay, see, if scrapings, there's actually a chimney. So we rebuilt the chimney, okay? Then more scrapings. We found the original doorway. So we built the original doorway. So can you imagine how important this scraping should be in conservation works? Okay. Oops. Okay, number 2 is color. How do I naikkan this? Sorry. Okay, this is checking colors. So can you imagine the tedious work that goes into conservation works, that you have to do color checking of the walls? You see the color scheme test. So they started from here, and then from one layer to another, they document it. The date and then the location. So from here, from one layer to another, they document it. It's the same as the timber works also. Okay. And then, okay, so this is roof tile sourcing. So this is the reason why we built this false roof or temporary roof, to protect the inside of the building while we go and check the roof tiles. Okay. So this is how they do under that temporary, what they do under the temporary roofing. So they will take out all the roof tiles, they will check it, they will take it down, they will catalog it, they will clean it, and then they will check the structures underneath the roof tiles, and and they document every single little thing that they check under this temporary roof. Okay, while the temporary roof actually act as a weather barrier, safety from the rain and too much sun. But it's very heaty underneath. Can you imagine these people actually working up there right underneath the metal decking? I bet it's very hot. Okay, so this is the roof at the roof sections at the Lok Hall Mansion. So when we took down the roof tile, and then we check, there's some broken ones, and there's some being painted by bitumen for some unknown reason, and you cannot clean them. So we actually collect all this, and we put them together at 4, 3, 6, and 5. We put them together there instead of having them all scattered everywhere. And then we source out the roof tiles for 1, 2, 11, 12, 9, 7, 8, 10 from other places. So usually for heritage building, the roof tile would be a V-shaped clay tile. But because over a period of time, the V-shaped clay tile was replaced by Marseille tiles. So the roof batten is different. Okay, the sectional and the roof pattern is different. So we just continue sourcing from Arceta instead to save cost, to replace all the timber battens, no, all the steel battens actually, because it was replaced before. Originally it was timber, but I think over a period of time, either the hotel or PAM, they replace it with timber, with a metal structure. Yeah? So this is the sample of the roof tile, and on the right side is what we found that it was being painted with bitumen. Probably they think that whoever did this, they think that the bitumen can be kind of like a weatherproof to seal whatever is leaking. Unfortunately, this is how it looks, and it couldn't be cleaned up. So we actually put that aside and we source other new ones. Okay. Okay, so paint research and mockups. So we also had some paint research and mockups, and one of those days we had a paint research demonstration by Dr. Donald Elsmore, and he taught us how to campur all the colors, how to see, how to compare. It was very interesting, and Datin A. Arjun also was there to actually teach us based on her experience. Yeah, okay. Also paint mockups. So we had paint mockups. Can you believe that on this wall there are actually 6 hues? We were that apa ni, cerewet lah kira. There was actually 6 hues here. So even on the external wall, for heritage building, we need to use water-based paint. So for this building, we're not trying to advertise Nippon or whatever, but we find that the water-based Nippon Easy Wash ni, dia tahan lama with the weather. Even now pun, kita tak pernah lagi cat bangunan tu ever since 2017. But it still looks nice. The color tu dia tak trap dirt from the rain or the udara dekat luar tu. Okay, reconstructing abacus and necks. So there were colors, you see. I tak boleh gerak I punya ni mouse. Okay, so they were painted over. So we actually clean the abacus up, and then we reconstruct the abacus so that it will look like. So they have people, specialists to actually buat the mold perlahan-perlahan with all the plasters and all that, very teliti. And then later on, I'll show you the photo after the after photos that it looked like the original version. Okay. Other reconstructions. There's also the underneath of the floor, the soffit. There's also the reconstruction of a staircase. If you see the staircase here before that was not there. We found out about the staircase from the scrapings of the wall. Later on, I'll show you the slide. And we also reconstruct the baluster, the balustrades. These are all ceramic handmade. So we had to reconstruct them also, and kita letak tagging there to say that those with tags are the new balusters. Okay, and on the top left side is where the terrace is. Before this, it was covered, and then it was used as an office. So when we found out from the old photos that there was actually a terrace, an open terrace, so we decided to open it up, and it became a very wonderful open terrace. Okay, other processes. So there's also the material testing, timber tile plaster ni semua you have to send in the laboratories. So this kind of specification or scope is not listed in the conventional construction documentation. So these are specifically mentioned in the conservation documentation. Okay, salt damage and rising dam treatment pun is a different method from the conventional ways. There's a desalination using poultice and sacrificial plaster. This one is very interesting. All you need to do is just Google up dekat YouTube, and you can find how they do the sacrificial plaster to actually tarik, to sedut the garam-garam from the dinding. Okay, and then also the anti-termite treatment is normal. Okay, so the plaster test, this desalination semua ni dekat conventional contract tak ada. Is you need to specifically put them in for conservation contract. Okay. Okay, so the findings are, this is best. Okay, the findings first. You see the top left sana, kita scrape, kita tengok, wow, that's the last color, is yellow ochre. And actually, you know, you see all those patterns and all that. So the one who's holding the camera is Tuan Haji A.R. Kamarudin, who is the conservator on the contractor side. So in conservation construction method, you have to have two conservators, one on the consultant side. In our case is Datin A.R. Jun, and one on the contractor side. In our case is Tuan Haji A.R. Haji Kamarudin. Right? Okay, so on the top right hand is behind what is Tuan Haji Kamarudin was trying to take photo of. That's actually lubang-lubang udara, apa tu, air vent kan. So they were before this rupanya dah ditutup dah, because maybe because the use of aircon. So we decided kita restore balik to its former glory. Okay, and the most interesting is the bottom left and the bottom right. While we were cleaning, or rather the project manager Encik Alif was cleaning the lantai, the floor from cement in one of the rooms in the left annex. They found a well. Okay, so nanti later on I'll show you the gambar well. So it was very interesting because before this it was not documented at all. So for this we documented and we call this ruang ni Gallery Tangsi. Okay, okay, so and then when we scrape, we found the writing Empire Hotel. So we document that up also, but we of course needed to paint it over. But most importantly, we document that up. And then we saw the ladies' lavatory and the gents' lavatory, the male or gents, I cannot remember that. On the left annex behind, underneath the left terrace. Yeah? So we document that up also. And then on the right side, of course, is the Marseille tile that we had to throw because of the bitumen being painted and we cannot remove it. Okay. And then next one will be on the top left. We discover that the doorways that we decided just to document it, but we did not pursue of building what was before this, maybe a toilet behind those doors for the rooms for the being used in Empire Hotel and Peninsula Hotel, but the window is actually in a wrong location, so we actually move that bit to the right. And then on the right top photo, if you see at the arch there, when we scrape the wall, we found out that this arch is actually broken. Padahal this arch is actually holding up the two walls. Okay, and these walls are all load-bearing walls. So this arch is holding these two walls. So what happened if the arch broken and suddenly it's not treated? Definitely, it's going to the structure to ni lah kan. So the consultant conservator asked the contractor to provide method statement, and they do actually all this repair works in a conservation method lah. Yang they also need Jabatan Warisan Negara to approve also. Okay, and then the bottom left is at the courtyard there. When we were cleaning, we discovered that underneath the cement screed is actually the original granite flooring. So we took all the cement screed out and we clean the granite flooring back to its former glory. And the bottom right is where we scrape the floor, the wall, and then we found a line indicating that before there was a staircase here. So that was an additional cost for this contract to rebuild the staircase to match the one on the right side. So then when you build this staircase, the building begins to make sense for its symmetrical, because before this there was only one staircase on the right side. Now that we found that on the left side there's also a staircase, so the building becomes makes more sense lah, in terms as a heritage building. Okay, and then we also find sisik angin. This is kind of like a ventilation louver. being plastered over and closed, and nobody knew unless you really looked at the elevation from outside. And then we discovered that, and we took them out, and there were like bird's nest semua tu nampak tu in the middle gambar. And then we put, finally later I'll show you the gambar, we put a glass there, so that when we later use the building using aircon, it is still usable. Okay, so after photos, so we're almost at the end of the slideshow. Okay, the ground floor, can you see how lovely that is? Can you see the ceiling there? Because before this, it was covered by plaster ceiling. And then we discovered the steel beams kan. Rupa-rupanya, the steel beams are original steel beams from Lanarkshire. We found the name there, and we documented, and we just painted over. Eh? And then the floors, the floor tiles are actually original floor tiles. But we, having said that, we still documented with all this exact measurement, and we put it in the tender document just in case that we need to replace it. The contractor needed to source this from Vietnam. Yeah? So, but we decided that even if the floor tiles are broken, we let them be, because it brings characteristics to the space. So eventually the provision for these tiles were not used at all in the tender. Eh? So okay. And you see the central courtyard, that was the granite slab that we found underneath the cement screed, that we decided to buang the cement screed, clean the central courtyard back to its former glory. And these are huge granite slabs, you see? They're typical of a Chinese mansion or Chinese shop houses. Eh? So we preserve that. Okay, so okay, the foyer overlooking the central courtyard and art space. Can you see the blue color? Those are actually lime wash. So we mixed that during the demonstration of the color paint wash too, and we decided to give this a shocking color, so that upon the entrance of the mansion, you have this blue color like the Chong Fat Sir blue mansion color greeting you from afar. Kan cantik kan when you take a photo of that. Okay, and then and the first floor, that's the foyer. Okay, and then they are all, before this, they were all closed by the ceiling, were all closed by plaster ceiling. And then the architect, A.R. Azwan, made a brilliant decision to put timber ceiling instead. So I think it looks nice, kan, very warm, kan? Okay, and as you can see, we also put glass doors, but very minimal structure, just to give it like a transparency feeling, and so that the space can be used using aircon, kan? Okay, can you see the terrace also? Before this, it was closed as an office, but when it's open as an open terrace, I think, well, we think that the space is fantastic. Back then, I suspect that this terraces was probably used as tempat jemur kain ke, kan? Because the left annex and the right annex were back then was a fixed residential area. Makna kata, for the Empire Hotel, maybe that's back of the house, the maids ke apa ke, the offices ke. So I lah suspect kan. Okay. So after photos lagi, okay, the annex building, look at that left annex. Okay, the timber structure too was painfully drawn by Azwan Architect and his office. Painfully drawn and painfully built by the contractor. But it looks lovely, isn't it? And if you see the small little vent holes that I showed before, that it was closed, kan, sumbat by plaster, we took them out, we cleaned them up, and we put in little glass inside that, so this space can be used as air conditioned. Eh? So the office space, so A.R. Azwan also designed the staircase going up, so classical looking like that. I think it goes very well with the design. And on the right, the top level is used as pantry and prayer rooms. There are 2 prayer rooms, and on the below, there's an art space and a kitchen area, whereby later on, if we feel that we want to lease that space to a restaurateur, then the restaurant can use that as the kitchen. Okay. And then other detailings. This is just the toilet spaces, they are actually there. So we're not using kind of like a classical kind of thing, but we give it a classic look. But kita tak nak lah guna the original design ke apa kan. I don't think it can match with our usage now. So I think AR Azwan did a fantastic job of redesigning the space, okay? And the reconstruction of missing staircase, the gambar yang tengah-tengah, can you see the far end of the staircase there? The far end is the original one. The staircase where the photographer was standing on is the new one, but they look alike, kan? Fantastic job. So the restoration and reconstruction of cornices and necks, can you see that? The abacus and the necks is being reconstructed and restored. It's nice, kan? And then the restoration and preservation of original floor tiles. So we decided not to take the floor tiles and decided to keep the floor tiles broken ke, tidak ke, so that it gives the character to the building. Okay. So final costing. Ini mesti semua orang nak tahu kan. But mind you, for this final costing that I'm telling you is from lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. For 11 lots of work. 1 until 6 are car parks. 7, 8, 9 are car park in semi-basement. 10 is Lok Hall. 11 is Kuala Lumpur Tourism Bureau. So this is the final costing. From 9th December 2011 till 15th December 2017, sorry. Using 3 contractors. Remember, the first contractor was the one that we terminated. The second contractor was the one we tendered out as conventional contractor. And then the third contractor we tendered out as a conservation contractor. So from lot 1 until lot 11, the final construction cost amounted to 16 million in the span of 6 construction years. So can you imagine doing up or doing up heritage building? Expensive because there's always the penambahbaikan, the upgrading works that we need to do for the buildings. But eventually, as you see in the after photos, it is all worth it. Good. It looks nice. Current use. Currently, it is used as event space and community hub by and rebranded as Rumah Tangsi by Citizens. So Citizens is being leased to be the program, the program manager and the caretaker, and Citizens are run by Hafiz, who is a lawyer with a background lawyer, and then ARTS IDR Rida, and shared responsibility with AR Adrianta also. Okay, so these are all brilliant, energetic people now taking care of Lok Hall, or now rebranded as Rumah Tangsi. So these people, they're so bijak and so energetic that they managed to get all the celebrities to come over. You have Dato' Awi, you have cartoonist Dato' Lat, you have even Siti Nurhaliza to make videos, music videos in this premise, and then you have Mira Filza, and the list goes on and on and on. So many, nanti penuh slide. And you can go alamak, eja Facebook pun salah, sorry, but you can Google them, Rumah Tangsi, on Facebook and Instagram, okay? And also, currently, Citizens have done this. Youth engagements, they have youth workshops, they have seasonal marketplace. The youth engagement tu siap ni, break dancing lah, rap lah. So it's really as a hub. And then also is a fashion photo shoots, is artistic projects, theaters and music, and it's music videos and haunted films. And it was even Air Asia did a shooting there in 2019, I think, for their Deepavali video. And then for art exhibitions, and we have CSR talks and guided tour of Lok Hall complex. So after the pandemic, when the pandemic ends, everyone is invited and welcome to visit Lok Hall or Rumah Tangsi, and will be gladly to take you for a guided tour. The sketching activities by urban sketchers, and then even events by various government agencies, and this is only some of them. So I'm almost at the end of my slideshow. For references and appreciation, I would like to refer you guys to this book, The Legacy and Heritage of Lok Chau Kit by Datin A.R. Jun Eng and her 16-year-old daughter, Cheng Sim. Of course, she's now 17, but Cheng Sim, her daughter, co-authored the book. This book is about Lok Chau Kit, but it stemmed from A.R. Jun's curiosity about the building, which eventually brought her to do research upon research, interviews upon interviews, and she come up with a book as thick like this. Can you see? Can you see? There, and it's thick. Yeah. This book has all the histories about Lok Chau Kit, has all the histories about the buildings that Lok Chau Kit or the projects that Lok Chau Kit has undertaken. And I read this in one sitting. So A.R. Datin Jun said, you can print screen your attendance tonight as proof to get 10% discount on the book. And you can email inquiries to juneng@yahoo.com. Okay? JUNNNG, 3 N's @yahoo.com. And then another book that has been my reference for this slideshow also is Konservasi Bangunan Warisan by Tuan Haji Syahri Mat Saud. Tuan Haji Syahri is the conservator contractor of Antiquities Sdn Bhd. He was also, both Datin A.R. Jun and Haji Syahri, they are my sifu. So get this book, because in this book you can see all the processes of the before and after, and it's very interesting and the photos are fantastic. So you can email inquiries at Syahri, SHAARINTQT @gmail.com, or you can go to their webpage, antiquity.com.my. You can just Google NTQT and find out more about them, okay? And then these were the team. So I owe my experiences to them. We were a great team despite all the issues and problems. And for the conclusion, this is what I think the conclusion is. Building conservation represents the past history and culture of the city. So it is very important, actually. We see old buildings, heritage buildings, not as a liability, but it's actually what represents us, our past history, and what we become is because of our past, isn't it? And it gives a sense of identity of a place, just like Lok Hall Mansion or Lot 10 or Rumah Tangsi. It gives this Jalan Tangsi a sense of identity. It attracts more people to come, and it enlivens the place with this bright color, and it becomes a new landmark for the city. And then, Muhammad Sharul, why? He provides a sense of belonging. How did this happen? I'm not too sure. And then, and costly, yes, but it will be a huge attraction, return of investment through creative minds and creative ideas, okay? So, before we depart, okay, there are 2 completion videos that I would like you to see, each probably around 3 minutes, but it's fantastic videos. Why is this?
Hang on, I'll get our host to give that line. Just
can you please?
Just 1 second.
Sure, sure. I have all the time. Okay, better. Okay, shall we go to for the video, yeah? Enter. Looks nice, kan? Okay, another video. Okay, this is by NTQT, yeah? Actually, there is a part in the video that showed about metal beams kan, steel beams, steel beams. I didn't mention about the findings there because actually what we found is that not only was the flooring before metal apa tu decking or metal plate was used as flooring. The metal plate was also, the steel beams was also raised that the first floor level was on a different level. So when we decided to use timber flooring instead, we had to turunkan the metal beams, and then finally we managed to get the flooring to be the same level as the existing staircase. So I didn't put that in because I missed that one out, but later on, maybe in future lectures, I would put them in. So with that, thank you. And the owner is Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur, and I have to thank all the mayors and all the bosses for supporting this project. And the lead consultant Azwan Architect, the consultant conservator Datin A. Arjun of CGBC, CGB Consultants Senjam Berhad, the conservation contractor NTQT Senjam Berhad, and the program manager or the caretaker of the building now, Citizens. And follow them at Rumah Tangsi on Instagram, Facebook, and also on IN, LinkedIn. I'm too old for that. So anything, you can just email Rumah Tangsi also. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Architect Faslina, for the very wonderful sharing. Okay, before we start our Q&A session, we can see some great supports from few of our friends here. We have
Really?
PAM Education Chairman, A.R. Adianta, also A.R. Rikha, and also Architect Heng Huat and Lillian from Architects. So yeah, thank you for all the support.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a few questions from the chat. Okay. Let me just read it up for you.
I hope they're not difficult questions though.
There are quite a lot, so I will try to read as clearly as possible.
Okay, I'll try to answer them.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so from Adam Chow, is PAM contract 2006 being used in this conservation project, or bespoke contract is being used when the third contractor NTQT was on board?
Okay, is that the question?
Sorry?
Is that
that's a question. And then will there be any addendum to the PAN contract to cater for DBKL conservation guideline? Okay.
So is that Eddie, yeah?
Adam. It's from
okay.
Adam, yeah.
Okay, anyhow, for your information, this project is being done by Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur, my department as the project implementer. So in Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur, we have our own PW-based or JKR-based contract that we call DBKL 203A. That's for BQ contract. So we use that actually. But in the conservation documentation, all the all those documentation about conservation is being put in the tender, but we use DBKL 203A as the basis of the contract. So there's nothing about addendum or bespoke or whatever, but because we have that being used for a DBKL project. Okay, I hope that answers you lah. So it's the same as JKR. JKR has JKR 203 or PWD 203. I am not too sure. So DBKL is that also, but we're different in the sense that JKR has the SO, and I think because in DBKL 203 we have Datuk Bandar as the SO. JKR tak ada Datuk Bandar kan. So we have that. And then other things based on the Akta Ibu Kota. So I hope that answers. Okay.
Okay. Great. I hope that answers your question. Next one is from the same person. May I know how much is the final contract sum of the conservation project? Is there a lot of difference between the original contract sum and the final contract sum due to many BO works during the construction stage?
That's quite a lot.
Okay, yeah. You can,
I would suggest that if any of you have conservation projects, probably put aside 7 to 10% duit lebih sikit extra budgetary for that. I would suggest lah, because there's so many things that you tak jumpa when you go there to have a look, and inspect the building for tendering purpose. Bila masuk site, there's so many other things. When you kopek sana, kopek sini, you find so many other things. So put aside a huge sum of money for that. Yeah. So it's quite a lot of VOs, and I was very grateful that all these VOs, they are all justified. But my top bosses, berberat hati, but they said that, you know, when you do conservation, memanglah inilah masalah dia, VO dia banyak, but we have to, kalau tidak nanti project tak berjalan. So macam itulah.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, the next question from Jeff. Hi, for this building, who decides and what is the system or assessment used to inform each action? To what extent to allow to be changed? For example, color, materials, M&E, etc. What has to be kept original and what has to be restored to original look?
Okay, number one, that is the reason why the conservation documentation contract, the conservation contract is a whole lot different than the conventional contract, because in the conservation contract, it is compulsory for you to take in a conservator consultant on the client side and a conservation contractor that has an in-house registered conservator. The conservator must be registered with Jabatan Warisan Negara. Why? These two conservators, one is the consultant conservator, also registered by Jabatan Warisan Negara. In my case, is Datin A.R. Jun. And then the contractor's conservator, which is Tuan Haji A.R. Kamaruddin, both are registered with Jabatan Warisan Negara. Hence, they are very kamcheng with the Jabatan Warisan Negara. So they can actually, not only from their experience, but also from the methods of conservation, and they also know who to speak to in Jabatan Warisan Negara pertaining this. But of course, in Rumah Tangsi or Lok Hall mansion, these two conservators are very well versed and experienced. They can make their decision, and they know what the answer is based on the guidelines, based on the projects that they've done before. So, and then also this kind of decision is being put forth on the table to be discussed with the client. I am the client representative, so the client and the project team, so that we understand what's going on. But the decision of what is not heritage and what is not, what is heritage, those decision needs to come from these conservators, and eventually they will refer back to Jabatan Warisan Negara for further approval. That's why every site meetings, the wakil representative from Jabatan Warisan Negara will always attend to monitor our decision making, to monitor our project status. So it's not a main-main kind of thing, because these are all diwartakan di dalam akta.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Next, we have, thank you for your continual showing of the value of scraping the walls to find out what the issue are. Really, this is just a statement. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Not my team, my team. So.
Okay, another one is from, not sure if it's just a statement, conservation and retrofitting. So not fully conservation, is it?
Retrofitting, I think that, in my personal opinion, that can be put under adaptation. Of a heritage building. So we did some retrofitting also, but with carefully chosen furnitures, or materials, finishes and all that. So you can still do retrofit, but with to follow a set of guidelines. There's no problem with that. If you can, but before retrofit, you must present to Jabatan Warisan Negara, because they have a jawatan kuasa to oversee all this proposals done on a gazetted heritage building. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next is how much of the costs related to the back wall, trees, and the car park, and how much? I mean, I think this is relating to the cost. So how much was the whole entire program, I guess?
Program, I think tadi kan dah tunjuk kan.
Yeah, I think that
was
just now you've already shown. Yeah.
But the Hendak Kitchen Wall for 70 meters, that was expensive, in millions. So yeah, in millions. We had to do that because when we did study, the slope was so steep and we had to do soil nailing also apart from the Hendak Kitchen Wall. So it's very expensive. But to, you know, make sure that the buildings are safe kan, to be used kan. So tak nak terpaksa lah juga, carilah duit mana-mana.
Okay, actually, you got one question from Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
From Noor Shahira. If we want to remove any trees that is located near or within our site, is it necessary to pay some amount of money? Because you mentioned that your team have to pay some amount of money to omit the trees.
Oh, bukan. The amount of money is to pay the contractor. You have to pay those people who will be doing work. Kan? Takkan nak buat for free.
Yeah.
So itulah since the trees are inside the compound and deemed very dangerous, so we actually referred to OSC, OSC Jabatan Perancang Bandar di BKL. Dekat dalam OSC there is a unit Jabatan Landscape, so we had to seek for their advice, and their advice kata tak apa, potong sebab bahaya, so we cut them off lah. So when I showed you the slide, I was showing that how expensive the exercise was. Biasanya kalau nak potong pokok macam tu sebatang dua dalam 8,000, 10,000, but this time it's 34,000 because of the location of the trees so precariously at, you know, dekat hill and sangat steep kan, slope yang sangat steep. We had to engage people yang hati kering to actually panjat and potong while panjat, you know. So those kind of things like the insurance and all that. So that was the reason why I showed the cost actually.
Yeah, I actually have a friend that does this kind of work as well.
You do?
He actually climbed up to the tree with his chainsaw to bring to the top of the tree and cut it. Yeah, so I kind of understand why it's so expensive also.
Now you have to tabik hormat dekat dia because he got paid really well. Not by being an architect, but by climbing up trees to potong pokok.
Yeah, it takes a lot of skill also. Yeah, true. Okay, we have another question from Madam Chow. Were the as-built drawings when the Lock Hall was completed in early 20th century made available to guide the design consultant and the contractor before the building conservation works commence? And then he also,
lagi?
Sorry. And he also noted that some of the extent of the work were not discovered until the mounting work has commenced.
Until the what? Sorry?
The mounting work.
Oh, okay. Demounting work? What demounting work?
I'm not really sure. Maybe like when you uncover the floor.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. I'll first answer the as-built.
Sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we first did before it was gazetted, before it was gazetted in August 2012 kan, but we actually first tendered it out as a conventional project kan, but there was no as-built drawing. So what Azwan Architect had to do was to actually draw, measured drawing lah. He went there and measure lah, and lukis balik and all that semua. Okay, so there wasn't. Maybe it was in the archive somewhere, but who would want to find kan? Okay. But very fortunately, when once it was gazetted as heritage building, and we were instructed to have it done fully as conservation. In conservation method, there is the HABS drawing, this measured architectural drawing for conservation works, the HABS drawing that the consultant and the contractor they have to do. So for this project, the HABS drawing is being done and then being used to, well, usually the HABS one is being prepared by the contractor, but Datin A. Arjun, in this case, she took the extra care to actually, she produced the HABS one drawing so that she can produce a better tender documentation for this project. So that HABS one drawing, and then that's HABS two during the construction, and then the HABS three as built drawings after the construction is completed. So this is how different you see between conventional and conservation method. That's why the conservation documentation and tender needs to be done entirely separately from the conventional method. You understand it?
Wow, very interesting.
Very.
Yeah, we for last year, I actually did a case study on this, and we had to do a Revit model of the entire building. So it was a really good experience in doing that. We learned quite
If you don't mind, you can share with us.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It took us like many sleepless nights to do it, but yeah.
Good for you. Okay.
Right. Okay, next question. What's your advice when it comes to appoint the conservation contractor during the tendering stage? For example, looking at their past project experience, their craftsmanship. And then he said, he noted that first contractor was terminated because they were not experienced in the heritage conservation work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I said that the first contractor was terminated because they were not experienced in handling old buildings. Back then in 2010 or 11, when we awarded the contractor, remember it wasn't gazetted yet as a heritage building, but it was there as an existing old building, but they do not understand what this old building is all about. Old buildings are all about load bearing walls, clay bricks, and that sort of old stuff that they need to understand better of the material rather than imposing modern ones to that. So they don't understand that all the walls need to be structurally braced before doing anything on them. So they did not know what to do. So after 1 year, we just terminated them. Okay. But in choosing conservation contractor, when you want to tender out, in DBKL's case, DBKL's case is like any other government's procurement method, procurement procedures. We would actually mention what sort of grade that we need for the contractors to be. There's a grade, this IDB grading for contractor grade pemuliharaan dan something lah macam tu. I can't remember apa ni. So we mentioned that in our tendering. Not only that, we actually call up for a site visit where we actually did, or rather Datin A. Arjun and A.R. Azwan did slideshows of the buildings and what is to be expected and all that, so that they would know what they're expecting when they buy the tender, kan? And then when we did the analysis in Kerajaan, in the government procurement method, we do not have contractors interviews like those in the private. So because it's all very PNC lah, kita tak boleh ada relationship at all with them. Okay, so we actually see their past experience and we listed it down in the analysis, standard analysis. So we will present our findings to the tender board, and from there we chose. So obviously, when it came to awarding the third contractor, which is the NTQT, he has vast experience. He has, you know, the Rumah Abdullah Hukum, they actually removed that. They were the ones who removed that. And a lot more other conservation projects all around Malaysia, in Kelantan, in Perak, in Penang. Obviously, they stood out like a sore thumb among all the contractors that came in as the most practicable and the most experienced. So Tender Board agrees to take them on board. So that's how we actually choose our contractor. But you cannot compare with the first one that we terminated, because back then we actually tender out as a conventional construction, not conservation construction. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Adam. Okay. Next we have. Oh, he wants to know how much of the price for the book of Loh Chow Kit, authored by A.R. Datin, architect Datin Junran.
Itulah, I terlupa nak tanya. I think it is around in 100 plus, I think. So
Okay.
better you email, print screen that you actually ask that question on Zoom, print screen that as a proof that you are attending this online session, and then she would give you a 10% discount. So you can ask them in the inquire about the book through the email.
Okay. I think we will have a few, like 1 or 2 more questions, and then we.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Another one is same from Adam. Said, is poor BQ documentation one of the main reasons leading to variation works and additional costs, whereby the description of the works in BQ found to be lacking in details, unclear, and the contractor may not have priced in some of the works that is actually needed on site to be tendering stage, during the tendering stage?
Of course, in any projects, this additional works issues come differently from one project to another. Some is because what you were saying, the BQ lacks details and a lot of discrepancies. Some are like that. And some are just, you know, things that you don't expect to find at site. You know, sometimes you found antiquities or I don't know, whatever problems or tanah terlalu lembik ke, when you do soil investigation, you miss out that point, you know, stuff like that. So it varies from one project to another. So partly what you say is correct, but for this project, especially for the third contractor, for the VO for the third contractor, is mainly because what we discover at site after we discover, you know, we take all the plasters and whatever kan, yang itu yang kita, this is the risk for whatever conservation project, the risk of this additional works and cost. But of course, some of us were very, very smart in trying to keep the cost down. The team actually did fantastic in that, trying the very best to keep the cost down. But eventually, you know, some omit there, some add here, tak nak, ada juga additional a few percent. So it goes like that. So I can't say that all works that have variation orders are because due to insufficient details in BQs. Some yes, but some no. Okay, it varies from one project to another.
Okay, thanks. One more question from Facebook.
Okay.
We use DM. She said, it's from Hanif Izwan. So, hi, hendak tanya, how do you convince client to give VO on foreseen item and AOT for the works?
Oh, inilah orang kata you kena pandai jual ubat. You kena, you know, but of course, in order to make your VOs and AOT justifiable, you must always prepare prepare all the facts, and you must show that you have gone that extra length to try and put the cost down or try to limit the extra extension of time. So you must show to the client that you have all the effort. You have already put the effort to avoid those things. And apart from that, mestilah you kena pandai convince your client lah why it is necessary to have this additional cost and why it is necessary to have the extension of time. All needs to be connected back to the contract that you're based in. For example, kalau dekat luar, mostly you guys pakai PAM contract. Then you kena carilah all the clauses tu, ada 27, 28 clauses tu, connect back to the extension of time, kenapa you kena kasih tu, and the VO, kenapa you kena kasih tu. Sama juga dalam case DBKL. DBKL pun sama juga. You have to, to convince the top bosses, the tender board. The tender board ni dihadiri oleh pelbagai department as saksi. That keputusan dibuat bukan oleh seorang tetapi beramai-ramai. Jadi kita kena convincekan the top bosses, the top management, the tender board why this certain project requires additional cost. You kena tunjuklah gambar-gambar tu semua. Kalau you kena produce slideshow, you kena tunjuk. Kalau tak buat jadi apa? Kalau buat jadi apa? Ada tak cara lain nak buat? You kena convince that. Sebab nanti orang-orang ni akan tanya you kena confidently defend you punya kerja tu. I hope that answers tu. That's in my case lah kalau macam tu.
Okay, we have a last one from Facebook. Not sure if it's a question, maybe a statement. So contingency sum is very crucial in any preservation and conservation project.
Yeah.
I reckon 7 to 10% at least. Do you agree with this statement?
Yes. Okay. Of course, in DBKL project management, no, DBKL contract, bukan project ni. DBKL contract, we do not have that contingencies. We do not have that. But from the budgetary that we ask from our kewangan, we have that. We put contingencies too as a VO letter on added to be presented and made decision in the tender board. But yes, 7 to 10% for the construction cost must be put aside for all these additional unforeseen matters that you will find at site. You must. Tak termasuk lagi consultant fees tau. Consultant fees pun you kena masuk around 20% lah macam tu. We put that 20% because as you know, kerajaan full fees. So, I hope that answers to very many of you. And if kalau you need to inquire more about this conservation project, you can just contact me or email me at fazlina.r@gmail.com. Fazlina, FAZLINA.r@gmail.com. Okay?
Okay, yeah. Right, so I think we are done with the Q&A session. So we come to the end of the sharing for tonight.
Good.
Nonetheless, thank you again, Architect Fazlina. It was quite informative sharing.
My utmost pleasure and very honored and privileged to be doing this, to be sharing and reaching far and wide.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure everyone enjoyed it as well. It was a very fantastic sharing. Yeah, okay. Also, thank you for everyone for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. Bye. Stay safe, everyone.
Okay, hang on. So I just give a bit of an announcement. So also keep in touch with our Masa and Instagram, Facebook. Do follow us for the next event, and do check out our YouTube channel for all our previous talks. There are a lot there you can learn from all the previous speaker. Also, if you don't already have, register for the PAM membership for more. It's a lot of benefits for architecture students and for architects.
Yep.
Okay, again, thank you, Architect Paslina. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice evening, and thank you, everyone. We will catch you up next time. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Bye-bye.